Hey guys, David here with Northwest Outdoor Ventures coming at you today to give you a review of the Husqvarna SM610. The model I'm going to be reviewing is a 2008. Alright, so let's jump right into the bike specs. We've got front and rear Brembo disc brakes, fuel injected, it's 576 cc's, it is liquid cooled, it's a 6-speed, its wet weight's around 346 pounds, 3.3 gallon tank, digital gauges and tachometer, and it's an electric start motor. Alright, now settle down before everyone gets all uppity. I'm going to answer the question that I know a lot of people have, and that is, how much can I buy this for used? So it varies a lot on this bike just because it's a Husqvarna and they're not too popular everywhere, especially in the States. I've seen them go for anywhere from $3,700 to $5,200, kind of ranges, give or take another $200, but I'd say that's around the range you're going to find them in, depending on the mileage and the wear and tear that's on the bike. So I've broken up this review into 4 key parts. We've got handling, commutability and comfort, cost in miles per gallon, and off-road capabilities. And if you would like to just jump to one of those, you can click on it right now. Should be enabled, so go ahead and do that if you want. Otherwise, just keep on keeping on and keep on watching. Alright, so let's jump right into handling. The old Husker performs pretty well in the handling department. I think as you would expect from a supermoto, it's a different kind of ride. You're up a little bit higher than you would be on like a super sport or a sport bike, and it's not quite as good a handling as on those type of bikes, but it is a lot of fun and it still does have really good handling. I'd say it's one of the major fun points of this bike. And moving right along to commutability and comfort, and now before anyone goes freaking out, I know commutability is not a word, it just is kind of there to represent how well you can commute on the bike, so let's keep it going. Commutability and comfort, I would say that it's definitely one of the major downfalls of this bike, but if you were expecting that from a supermoto, you're kind of expecting the wrong thing. As far as the stock version of the bike is concerned, it is like riding on a 2x4 for long distances. I found that if I rode over 100 miles, it was really starting to wear on me old bum. So I would not recommend buying this bike if you plan on going on long journeys or trips. But you know, if you're just some jaunt in some woods or something, or on some back roads or whatever, you know, or whatever you want to do, that isn't long distance, I'm sure this bike will perform quite well for. I do primarily use this bike for commuting to and from work, and it holds up quite well. Aside from the kind of high maintenance that is common among supermotos that are higher CC, it's not too bad. It's fine for short trips. I'd say anywhere under 100 miles, like I said before, more than fine. And so yeah, I'd say it definitely falls short there, but I think a lot of supermotos do. So it's nothing to take away from the Husky, just saying it is something that you have to think about when you're about to buy this bike. Moving right along to the off-road capabilities of this bike, let me preface this by saying that I did of course use it with only street tires, and I used the stock version of the bike, so there were no real mods aside from a skid plate and a few small things that weren't performance enhancing or really enabled me to ride on the dirt any better. So with that being said, I would say that you know, it's definitely not as good of a ride off-road as it would be if it was a dual sport, which is pretty obvious, but that is something you have to think about if you're primarily going to be off-roading with it. I'd say, you know, go for the dual sport. And you can of course put on some dirt tires, or you know, you can mod it any way you want to make it better for off-road, but if we're just talking about the stock model here, I'd say it falls a little short off-road. It's, you know, what do you expect if you're riding with street tires off-road? It's going to be squirrely, and you know, it is what it is. It's fun, but it can be a little dangerous, and yeah, so that's something you got to think about. Moving on to something that a lot of people care about when they're looking at a bike, and that is the fuel mileage that you're going to be getting and the cost of maintenance and things like that. And so this bike, I averaged around 45-ish miles per gallon, and it does have higher maintenance than most bikes, common among supermotos, but for, you know, your average bike, this has a little bit more maintenance, and at $45-ish per oil change, that can add up pretty quick when you're changing your oil every 1,000 miles, so that's something to keep in mind. It is, you know, it is a little bit more to maintain than your average bike, and it does eat up the gas more than a 250 would. So if you're just buying this bike to just because you're looking to save gas, then maybe you want to look for a 250 rather than, you know, a bigger CC bike. So wrapping up this review with kind of my final thoughts, I would say that overall the handling of the bike, I'd give a 9 out of 10. Commutability and comfort, 7 out of 10, because it does perform well when you're not going too long a distances. If it was just trips we were talking about, I'd score it much lower. Off-road capability, again, since we're talking about the stock version and everything, I'd give it a 7 out of 10. You could easily mod it to make it better, but as it is stock, it's not super great, but easily modded to be good off-road. Costs, the overall cost of maintenance and everything like that, again, a 7 out of 10 just because it is a little bit more maintenance heavy than your average bike, and it doesn't get the best fuel mileage compared to like a 250 or something else, but I mean, compared to bikes in its class, it holds up well in all categories. So overall, I would give it a 7.5 out of 10. Definitely recommend buying it if you're looking at it and you find a good deal. You know, I wouldn't jump at it if it's not a really good deal, but yeah, so this wraps up the review. If you guys have any questions or concerns or anything like that, got anything else you want to ask me, just go ahead and shoot it down in the comments below, and I will see to it that I answer your questions. I'll put up my other reviews right here. I've got a Honda Rebel and a KLX 250, another supermoto, so if you guys want to check that out, those are up right now. And so yeah, that's pretty much it. Thanks for watching, and if you're looking for a bike, I wish you the best of luck. Alright, thanks guys, see you later.